Fellas, you want a beautiful, submissive woman? Come through. But when you say submissive, what does that mean to you? She cooks, she cleans, with a good attitude? Is that it? Let's talk about it. What up, what up, what up? What's happening? Que lo que, mi gente? Welcome to Love, Purpose, and Passports. For those of you that don't know, I am Mr. Pro for You, living in Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic. I hope all is well and all are passport ready or passport getting ready. Let's get right into it. Today's topic is submissive women, and the question is, what is a submissive woman to you? One of the main talking points when it comes to this passport thing of ours that's made its way through both sides of the discussion is that we're finding and choosing love abroad because the women are beautiful and submissive. We know that we're not talking about absolutes, There's no 100% of submissive women anywhere. But I will say this as an absolute. There is someone here for you. You will find a beautiful woman, or at least a woman that's beautiful to you. Now, as far as finding the submissive woman, that's what we're here to talk about today. You got your passport, you got your destination, you got your ticket. It's time to go. Touchdown. She picks you up at the airport, and within an hour, it's on. This is how you do it, and this is how you've been doing it for a minute now with her. So ask yourself, is she a submissive woman? I know she's beautiful, and it seems like it. But is she? If the answer is yes, describe it. What is a submissive woman to you? Most brothers say she cooks and cleans, willingly and peacefully. You ever think there has to be more to it than that? Can she be submissive without cooking and cleaning? What else makes her submissive? Is she just a submissive person? Is she only submissive to you? Or is she submissive to me too? Think about that. Are you looking for a woman that's submissive to all men? Or one that's just submissive to you? And I'm not talking about messing around on you. That's a different topic, a different conversation. And as far as the cooking and cleaning goes, if submissive to you only means cooking and cleaning, what about the women that act submissive just to get a man like you? If she's playing you and only has to cook and clean to convince you that she's submissive, you made it really easy to get got. So what is a submissive woman to you? See, the women you're not looking for, they make a lot of noise framing the submissive women you are looking for in a negative light. And to be honest, we're not moved to the left or to the right, by anything they say. But I bring them up because we've heard more of them framing submissive women to fit their narrative than we've heard from us. When they speak about it, it's framed like a submissive woman is a robot mixed with a genie. A mechanical, magical, your every wish is my command. And even worse, they frame them as impoverished third world slaves.
Did this man just admit that he went to a foreign country to find himself a wife because he wants somebody with traditional values, which means that he wants a slave?
Yeah, they get ugly. And we know why. It's because they woke up one day in last place and no way to fix it. So they had to lash out at it. At them and at us. So yeah, the subject tends to only come up in combative spaces and panels. I mean, let's call it US euphemism. F-ism. They say YouTube doesn't like, but they've outlawed women being submissive. So I wanted to take this opportunity for us to talk about it in a productive space, a thought-provoking space. The word submissive has been twisted so much that a man almost has to whisper that he wants a submissive woman or that he has a submissive woman. Can't say it with his chest. Got to look around and make sure the wrong person isn't listening. Even make sure none of the women in his family are listening. You've heard so many of the, let's call it rules and regulations that were created by the non-submissive women to show you who you need to be to get one of the submissive women that the non-submissive women hate. You have to be a certain type of man to get a submissive woman. You have to deserve a submissive woman. You have to be able to afford a submissive woman.
Ladies, what's the cost of submission? Because I've been seeing a lot of videos, a lot of content, a lot of hoopla talking about, men who make under a certain amount of money shouldn't be saying a damn thing about submission because you don't have enough money.
Or you have to be some kind of blemish-free Christian man to qualify for a submissive woman. What? Say you don't want a man with a submissive woman without saying you don't want a man with a submissive woman. But once you get that little blue book stamped and your eyes have been opened, it doesn't matter who said what. Not when your boots are on the ground. So what is a submissive woman to you? Again, I know cooking and cleaning usually pops up in your head when you think about it, but it's got to be more than that. I'm asking because if that's what you want, you need to be able to describe what it is you want or require, at least to yourself. Because if you can't break it down to yourself, then you're just looking for someone else's idea. It would be like me telling you, without talking to you, I found this chick that's exactly what you're looking for in the looks department. You would see her and think, yeah, she's fine. But I saw what I really liked like a few blocks back. That's why I asked, what is a submissive woman to you? I think sometimes it's hard for men to describe because Besides the fact that it's been defined and demonized by the enemies of submissiveness, it's always been in the abstract. You haven't had one because there were none available to you until now. When you step outside of the matrix, literally, the world is yours. Your passport, your choice. And now that it's your choice, in order for you to properly act on it, you need to update your software. Always using cooking and cleaning to describe submissiveness means it's hard to describe for most of you. But now that it's time to actually choose, what is a submissive woman to you? A lot of times, the description is lacking or absent because it really morphs into a thought. A thought of how a submissive woman makes you feel. And you know, we men, we're not having no discussions entitled about our feelings. There's two things. You don't lead with your wallet and you don't lead with your feelings. But the reason I said it's a feeling more than what's actually being described is because the submissiveness we're talking about can't be summed up with cooking and cleaning. But we do it anyway. And it's because we come from a place where that cooking and cleaning for us is openly rejected. And so we, by default, use cooking and cleaning to symbolize submissiveness. Let me ask you something. Are pros submissive? No, not in this context. Can semi-pros be submissive? Yeah. I think semi-pro is an old school term now. It may even be obsolete. You've heard of the GFE, the girlfriend experience? Well, those were pretty much regular women. I mean, we refer to them as semi-pros. She would be your girlfriend when you were here. Couple brothers, might get a villa, and get coupled up and chill with their beautiful women for X amount of days. Beautiful spot, beautiful peace, and beautiful tranquility. The GFE could have been called the SE because it was the submissive experience. Brother get back on that plane, headed home, feeling like a rejuvenated king. Then looking at what he's headed back to, brother's like, FTS. This the wife, them kids, it, I'm done. Intervention time. And this was from semi-pros. And they were called semi-pros because you're not paying them, but you are showing your appreciation. Speaking of intervention, I told you back in the days, I was the DR representative. I'm recruiting anybody I meet. This thing got to the point where I was like, if I know you and your wife, I'm not putting you on. I don't even want to get involved because I know what's going to happen. I ain't going to have your wife calling or looking at me all upside my head, because she calling your phone and it's ringing funny. Not getting mixed up in that. Because as soon as a brother get lined up who's currently doing the happy home thing, it's a wrap. It's over. whether it's over physically or it's over mentally or emotionally, and then legally. But all that is to establish, brother, you leaving with a feeling. And your description of a submissive woman is cooking and cleaning, because the real part of it is a feeling, the way it made you feel. Tranquilo, hermano. Está bien. We've all been there. And if you haven't been there, then you haven't been here. So it's actually a feeling that's trying to be described. You're not describing the details of the submissiveness, because your mind is wrapped around the result of it, the effect it had on you. But that's not how we do things, because that's being caught up in emotion. And we're not getting caught up in emotion. Or at least we're not staying caught up in emotion. Right? Okay. At this point, we haven't even got to submissiveness in a relationship yet. We've only just spoken on the idea of submissiveness. Run-ins with submissiveness. Submissiveness is such a strong word these days, especially because of the resistance it triggers in so many women. But that's good. It makes it easier to weed out chicks quick. If she bristles up at the word or the thought of it, keep your future plans free. Enjoy the moment, but only go as far as moments with her. But you got to know what a submissive woman is to you. Let's get into it. You with your woman, and the relationship has made it to the serious side, where now you're vetting her and you're looking deeper into if she really is submissive. Well, you could already be assuming she is. After all, she's been cooking and cleaning for you and looking drop dead gorgeous doing it. So now you're asking yourself, is she submissive? I mean, you've seen some of the chicks talking crazy on social media. And sometimes you even want to chime in the comments section that you have a beautiful, submissive woman. You ready to claim that fame. But do you? Asking yourself that can be like trying to swallow a burger whole. Nah, it's better to break it down to bite size so you don't choke on it mentally. You can swallow it and digest it comfortably. So let's break it down into pieces by asking, not is she submissive to you, but is she submissive to your blank? See, just asking yourself, is she submissive, is too broad. It's like asking, are you strong? Am I strong? You mean like lifting weights? Arms or legs? You mean physically, right? Oh, mentally? Emotionally? I mean, what do you mean, am I strong? Strong how? So start with asking yourself, is she submissive to my blank? And fill in the blank. How about, is she submissive to your leadership in the relationship? Well, how do I know if she submits to my leadership? Easy. Does she follow your lead? Are you the leader in the relationship? Does she position herself to follow your lead? If you're not sure if you're the leader in the relationship, you're not. So the answer would be no. She's not submissive to your leadership. How about, is she submissive to your decision making? When there's a decision to be made, if or when you discuss it with her, are you able to make the call? Or does she inform you on what she's decided, and that's that? Is she submissive to your goals for the relationship, as in the direction you want the relationship to move in? Once the relationship hits that serious place, you'll be talking about your plans for the relationship, your goals for the relationship, especially if you're talking about family and or marriage. Is she on board with your program? Or are you partners? It's okay if you partners. It's okay if you're not really the decision maker. And it's okay if you're not the leader. That just means you're a submissive man. And unfortunately, the topic today is for men finding a submissive woman. Submissiveness requires humility. And humility gives off peace. So if there's a recurring lack of peace in your relationship or house, then she's not submissive. Not a perfect peace, but a general peace. And before you say, how can she automatically be the blame for a lack of peace in the relationship or in the house? I'm speaking only of peace connected with submissiveness. The opposite of war connected with combativeness. Let me say this. All of us aren't the same, and all women are not the same. So when you encounter some resistance, it doesn't necessarily mean that she's not submissive. You're going to have to be able to break it down for her sometimes in order for her to understand where you're coming from. But once you do, does she receive it with peace, or is it a war? And mind you, receiving it with peace doesn't mean she doesn't have an opinion. I'll say that again. Receiving it with peace doesn't mean she doesn't have an opinion. But if it's war, as in combative or argumentative, those two can't exist with submissiveness. So we've gone through an example of a way you can determine to yourself if she's submissive to you or not. Again, as men, we're not all the same and don't require the same things to be content. What is a submissive woman to you? So if a man dares to get specific about wanting or having a submissive woman, there are women and men who will dissect what you say in order to spin it as oppressive and every other trending negative adjective they could think of. So be prepared for that if you let it be known openly. But here's the thing. It's only oppressive if you're making her be submissive. And if you have to make her, then she's not submissive. And she's not what you're looking for. You gotta let her go. That's why no matter how well you describe it, it'll never be good enough to be accepted by those who reject it. See, They don't want to hear that we look for submissive women, not make women submit. We look for submissive women. We don't make women submit. We look for submissive women because there are submissive women. We don't make women submit because we don't have to. Let me say that again. We look for submissive women, not make submissive women. We look for submissive women. We don't make women submit. We look for submissive women because there are submissive women. We don't make women submit because we don't have to. So it doesn't matter how much you like her or love her. It doesn't matter how beautiful she is or how much she says she loves you. If you're trying to make her be submissive, you're fooling yourself. Because even if she acts like it's not real. She is not a submissive woman. Your job is to find one, not make one. Here's something else to think about. Do you expect her to already be experienced in being submissive to a man like you? It's not likely. So there may be a need for an adjustment of expectations. Expectations. What are your expectations? Everything you're expecting as far as getting the submissive woman you want will be tied directly to your ability to choose well, to choose correctly. You know what that means? The responsibility falls on you first. Have you ever chosen correctly? See, wanting a submissive woman is cool. Getting one is even better. But your ability to choose correctly is everything. Because if you don't, all bets are off for everything. And guess what? It's not her fault. It's your fault for not choosing correctly. I wanted to take on speaking about this topic because, as I mentioned earlier, it's always discussed in a negative light. This was really meant to give you something to think about on this journey, not to give you all the answers regarding recognizing a submissive woman. Choose well, choose correctly, and choose wisely, fellas. Love, purpose, and passports. Peace. Oh yeah, I always forget. Like and subscribe.